As bad as the game against the Commanders looked for the Raiders, the reality is they're one game away, one victory away from being 2-2 after the first quarter of the season. So how did the Raiders get that? We'll talk about that plus more on Friday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast for September 26, 2025.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. We definitely appreciate you. If you're catching the show wherever you find your favorite podcast or you're checking us out by way of the YouTube page, you know we appreciate both. The show grows each and every day because of your support and the great job that my man Ari does behind the scenes each and every day, making sure we look good and sound good. So we appreciate him. We shout him out. He's on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can hit me up as well at your boy Q254. And if you want to be a part of the show, we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line for you, 707-654-4693. We'll get your calls and texts, plenty of great feedback. Even got a couple tweets that we'll get into the show in segment number 3 as we close out the week and close out the show really strong. So we'll hear from you, Raider Nation, in segment number 3. Segment number 2, I always like to do keys to victory. The last game before, or the last show, I should say, before the game. So whether that's a Friday like today, whether that's a Monday like it was against the Chargers, or even as it'll be a little bit later on in the season when the Raiders play on Thursday against the Denver Broncos, we always like to go ahead and give you the keys to victory, the path to victory, what the Silver and Black need to do. So we'll do that coming up. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Here in segment number 1, news and notes of the day, and we'll go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start off with the latest injury report for both the Raiders and the Chicago Bears. So, didn't really get to go over it on Thursday's show just because it was the crossover edition. Lauren Cox, host of Locked On Bears, and myself did all our comparing and contrasting, kind of, talking about the storylines, talking about the matchups and path to victory for both teams. But we'll go ahead and jump right into it, and I'll go through this injury report really quickly. For the Raiders, Brock Bowers dealing with the knee injury, full participant on Wednesday and Thursday. That's great, right? That means all things are a go for Brock Bowers coming up on Sunday. Is he going to be 100% out there? Will he be playing with the knee brace? Most likely he will not be. Most likely he'll still have that knee brace or at least have that compression sleeve on his leg like he has at practice as well. So full participant on both days is a really good sign for Brock Bowers. Safety Jeremy Chin with the pec injury he's been dealing with was limited on Wednesday. Full participant on Thursday, so obviously he's getting a lot better. Tight end Michael Mayer, he left the game on Sunday with a concussion, DNP on Wednesday and Thursday. Most likely he's going to be out on Sunday. I just don't see him recovering from that concussion that quickly, right? Especially the way that it looked so bad when he was down there on the field there in D.C. It just, to me, doesn't seem like he's going to bounce back that quickly. A guy that the cart came out for him, but ultimately he was able to walk off the field. I did see him in the Raiders locker room on Thursday, but we can't talk to players that are in concussion protocol or guys that are on IR, injured players, basically. We're not allowed to talk to when we're in the locker room. But I did see him walking around there, so obviously he's progressing, but not fast enough. We'll get another injury report later on today and see, but most likely they'll probably rule him out later on this afternoon. And then the last guy for the Raiders, cornerback to Cameron Richardson, hamstring injury, limited on Wednesday, limited on Thursday. Most likely he'll probably be limited today. We will get another status update on Sunday, about 90 minutes before kickoff, and find out who is inactive if we didn't find out later on this afternoon. For the Bears, it's much more of a laundry list when it comes to the injury report. So for Wednesday and Thursday, these guys DNP, did not participate. Linebacker TJ Edwards, defensive back Kyler Gordon, defensive lineman Grady Jarrett, tight end Colston Loveland, and offensive lineman Darnell Wright. That's a big deal, right? Edwards is dealing with the hamstring, Gordon dealing with the hamstring, Jarrett dealing with the knee, Loveland dealing with the hip, Darnell Wright dealing with the elbow. Did not participate on Wednesday or Thursday. That is a big deal, right? I know Lauren Cox had mentioned it on the crossover edition on Thursday that they're the walking wounded, and they are. And those are some key players defensively and on the offensive line. Darnell Wright, I think, is a big-time player. Also, guys that were limited, defensive back Jalen Jones, hamstring issue, was limited on Wednesday and Thursday. DeAndre Swift, the running back, hip injury, limited on Wednesday and Thursday. How about Cole Kmet, the other tight end, dealing with a groin injury, was limited on Wednesday, full participant on Thursday, so obviously he's progressing in the right direction. And then linebacker DeMarco Jackson with the hamstring issue, full on Wednesday, full on Thursday. But, man, a long list of injuries. And that's the one thing. I know the Raiders haven't played great. I know they're off to a 1-2 record, so far through 3 games. I'm not trying to, just pump sunshine and say, hey, everything's good, nothing to see here. But they've been relatively healthy. I know Brock Bowers dealing with the knee injury, but they've been pretty healthy throughout the course of training camp. Didn't really have too many injuries. They've been doing pretty good with that, and so hopefully, knock on wood, they stick with that because you know how the NFL is, man. All of a sudden, you can get hit with a slew of injuries like the Chicago Bears and like the Commanders were even a week ago. Now, want you to hear just a couple minutes from both coordinators, both Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. Obviously, they're trying to get that nasty taste out of their mouth from the performance that the team had against the Commanders on Sunday. They're back to work, obviously, and they're getting ready. They're moving forward. They're not looking back anymore. They're moving forward. So we had an opportunity to catch up at the Raiders facility on Thursday with both coordinators. So off top, we'll start with the OC, Chip Kelly, and Ryan McFadden from ESPN, Vinny Bonsignore, and myself, just asking a couple quick questions. Like I said, this is only going to be a couple minutes. Chip Kelly talked for almost 10 minutes. Not going to play that whole thing, but Ryan McFadden from ESPN, Vinny, and myself are talking about Jackson Powers-Johnson and the offensive line.
As a staff, why did you guys feel like it was better for Jackson Powers-Johnson to play right guard and Jordan Meredith to play center?
Because Jordan did a better job in preseason camp at playing center for us in terms of what we want call-wise, putting us in the right protections, doing all those things. I think Jordan's what you're looking for in the center in this league. He reminds me a little bit, I'm not going to say he is, but he reminds me a lot of Jason Kelce that I had when I was in Philly. He's got a long way to go. Jason's a Hall of Famer, but he's that type of player. We were really excited about what Jordan's doing at center.
Jackson hasn't played the last 2 games. What did you miss without him out there? What are you hoping? What are you getting back when he does come back?
He's a bigger body, and I think that's one reason why he's a better guard. He's built more like a guard than he is like a center. Jordan's built a little bit more like a Kelce, an athletic guy, pull, get out in space, all those other things. Jackson is a tough, hard-nosed. There's a lot of big 3 techniques in this league, so to have how do you handle a guy at the 3 techniques? So having a bigger body at the guard spot is what he is, and his toughness is always a positive to what we're doing.
You've only had 1 game with that 5-man group that you guys broke camp with.
One of the 3, yeah.
Yeah, one of the 3. Are you not excited necessarily, but curious to see what that looks like and give it some time for that?
Yeah, that's just what this league is all about. You better have some depth. We're fortunate we have an extra guard and Alex, and Alex has played a lot of really good football in this league, so we feel like we have 3 guys that can play guard. And so you're going to get tested. Everybody, I don't think anybody's had the same lineup in every single game so far in the 3 games in this season in the NFL. So that's just part of it. So you hope you can keep your players. And we have a pretty healthy team, to be honest with you. I lost Lonnie is about the only guy we lost in preseason camp. Besides that, it's just been a one-off in a game here or there. So, but this game through the 17-game season is going to test you from an attrition standpoint.
So is it just a continuity thing that has had the offensive line kind of struggle just because they haven't played together
consistently?
consistently?
And I think it's the defenses right now. If you look at statistically, Ashton's tied for 10th in the league for carries with 2 other guys. So of the top 12 backs in the National Football League right now through 3 games, there's only 4 guys that average over 4 yards a carry. So Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, Bijan Robinson, and there's one more, and Cook from Buffalo. Everybody else, Saquon Barkley averages 3.3 yards a carry. McCaffrey averages 3 yards a carry. So Ashton's right in the bunch with those guys right now. I think across the league through the first 3 games, the defenses are ahead of the offenses right now in the NFL, and at a big rate, like not till like 2007 or something, when you go back to the amount of total offense for offenses through the first 3 games is the lowest it's been in about 15 or 20 years. So that's this league. Sometimes the defenses are ahead, and then the offenses catch up, and then it goes back and forth, and that's just the nature of this game. But when you look across the league, and some really good backs, and it's surprising me today, and Saquon's got like 60 carries, but he has 3.3 yards a carry, and that's a good offensive line. That's a good back. It's a Super Bowl champion team, hell of a coaching staff, so I think it's throughout the league that there's a lot of the defense is doing a good job. Now, that doesn't mean that's just what we say. We've got to do a better job. We're doing a really good job in the passing game right now, but we got to do a better job in the running game.
Going to bring that up because the numbers are down, like you said, kind of dramatically. So it feels like it would have to be more than just the defenses are ahead of the offense right now, maybe schematically or an intention that defensive coordinators.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are trying to take away the run, and you're playing more guys closer to the line of scrimmage, and if you're going to do that, they're not dummies. You're going to throw the ball. Say, all right, if you're going to keep that many people at the line of scrimmage, then there are opportunities. You look at Trey Tucker's. One of the reasons Trey's been such a great weapon for us is the speed he has. So if people are going to play everybody close to the line of scrimmage and play one-on-one coverage, well, then a guy like Trey can operate. You look at his day the other day, and that's part of it. I know he's in year 3 or 4 here, but the one thing when I got here and watched him run and how he practices, it's like if people are going to really try to take away the run, then you got to have some weapons on the outside that can beat one-on-one coverage. And we're fortunate right now that we have a couple guys in him and Jacoby and Brock that can do that right now.
Would you like to see Ashton get more involved in the passing game?
I would like to see Ashton have 75 catches on Sunday. So, I mean, that's just part of the nature of it. But I think Gino's getting the ball out. He's completing a really high rate of passes. And I think, getting the ball to Tuck, getting the ball to Brock, getting the ball to Jacoby and all those other guys, he's taking what it's given. So a lot of times, sometimes if your back is in protection, he may be the fourth or fifth option, but we don't want him to bypass 1, 2, and 3 to get the ball to the back. So
going back to Trey, what was it that maybe you guys saw that wasn't seen before that unlocked him a little bit this year?
I wasn't here, so I can't comment on anything. I just know from the day when we got here and we got out there in OTAs, his speed was evident to me. And I told him that the unique thing about him is that there are some guys that are fast, but they're like combine fast. So they ran a really fast time at the combine, but then when you get to practice, you don't really notice them. Like from OTAs on, I felt him on the field. Like you feel him running by people and separating from people and running. And the one thing I'll give him credit for, I've mentioned it in a meeting to our entire group, but it is the way he practices is the way he's playing right now. So I think he practices at a really, really high level, and I'm a firm believer, and I didn't make this up, but you sink to your level of training. You don't rise to the occasion on game day, and Trey sinks to his level of training, but his level of training is at a really, really high level now, as good as I've seen, and that's all the credit goes to him 100%. If he continues to train at that really high level, I believe he's going to play at that really high level. So I think for the people in this building that have been here since we've been here as a staff aren't surprised at his production just because that's what he does every day in practice. So, knock on wood, we'll continue to keep that going with him because it's a really good weapon to not allow people to gang up on the run game if you have a guy like that is that explosive outside to go along with Brock and Jacoby. So, that was a big thing going into. We knew Jacoby and his ability, and obviously has demonstrated in this league. Brock's ability in his rookie year demonstrated in this league. But now you add another weapon out there, then all of a sudden maybe that starts to loosen some things up. So
Gino's talked to us about being patient and taking what the defense gives them. Is that the same for the play caller when, you want to have a big explosive play, but you got to also be patient?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I don't think when you call, no matter who it is, if you call for an explosive play, it's not everybody run deep, 5 guys go to the goalpost and throw it up. It's a layered effect. Someone's going deep, someone's going at the second level, and someone's in your check down area, so that depending on how they deploy themselves, if they got more guys to the front, then you get a chance to throw the ball over their heads. But if they're going to back up and let you throw the ball in front of them, then you have to take those throws too. So I think Gino did that. I thought Gino played really well last Sunday against the Redskins. Really did a great job in the pocket and then keeping plays alive. The extended plays that he made, I think, kept some of our drives alive and gave us a shot there to get closer in the fourth quarters.
Chip Kelly straight up, just said that Jordan Meredith was better in training camp and in the offseason at the center position. Now, to be honest, I didn't see Jackson Powers-Johnson working at center that much, right? He was working at center a little bit, and then he was starting to work at right guard for the competition that was in with Alex Kappa. So it wasn't like he was working at that position very much. And Jordan Meredith let us know that even in OTAs back in the summer, that they had mentioned that they were looking at him for the center position. But you hear what Chip had to say about JPJ and what was missing with him out of the lineup and what he's looking to have him back and why they have him at the right guard spot because of his body type, his power, his strength, his nasty. They want that what Lincoln Kennedy calls a mauler in the middle. That's what they want. They want that mauler in the middle at that guard position because of those 3 techniques that he's talking about. So, and then you hear what he's had to say when I asked him about the reps, and he was talking about the running game in general across the league is down, and he's not wrong, right? I mean, again, I've said it many times. Ashton Genty is literally 100 yards away, less than 100 yards away from being a top 5 running back in the league, and he's listed at number 24 right now. So clearly there's not been a lot of success running the rock in 2025, at least through the first 3 weeks. Obviously, week 4 got underway Thursday Night Football with the Seahawks defeating the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Patrick Graham, his defense had done really well. I was singing their praises through the first 2 weeks. We're only allowing 16 points per game. Obviously, that got blown out of the water on Sunday as the Commanders put 40-plus points on. They ran for over 200 yards. They basically did whatever they wanted to do. So Kevin Bollinger from Fox 5 here in Las Vegas started off this little scrum, and it was only a couple of us that asked questions in what I want you to hear right here. But he started off asking about the Bears and what stands out to him about the Bears offense. Obviously, the defense is going to have to do something to defend Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson and that creativity that they have. Check it out.
First thing that jumped out is the physicality with the offensive line. They got a lot of good big players up there, good size, that play pretty physical. And the second thing that would jump out just in general about the offense is the team speed. The skill players along with the quarterback, there's a enormous amount of speed out there on the field. So just being ready to capture that. I thought Minnesota did a good job of it. I thought they did a good job. I think Chicago was familiar with it. Might have caught Dallas a little bit off guard, but the speed of their team is legitimate. And then in terms of Caleb, you're seeing the maturity of a second-year player at the quarterback position and, being decisive, having his confidence grow. I think Ben does a good job of helping aid that. I mean, he has a proven track record of installing the offense, implementing good schemes. He's a great challenge in terms of just to prepare for. He's really smart. That's been documented, but I just think the way he adjusts within the game and how he gets a feel for the flow, it's almost like you're going against a defensive play caller. That's how it feels going against Ben. So it's going to be interesting.
How do you clean up the missed tackles or maybe a missed assignments from last week and get back to what you guys were doing the first 2 weeks?
The missed tackles, we clean it up by practicing. I mean, that's the thing we got to do just in terms of going back to fundamentals in terms of tackling. We had some issues early in training camp with it. The guys attacked it, worked it. The coaches attacked it. So once we had some issues last week, we came back and we said we got to work on this and just got back to fundamentals. That's one of the best parts about being part of this program with Pete. It's always about consistently returning back to our fundamentals and making sure that we're nailing that stuff down.
We've seen Tyree's snap count go up and down. Is that just trying to find a great fit for him, or?
In terms of the snap count for each game is what we think is best within the game. We go into it with a game plan, and then we have to adjust. So sometimes, when you get down or what have you, it became a more of a base game. It just switched a little bit. So got a little bit out of our hands. We had to, shore up the run in the second half. So, it's just based on the game plan.
So there you go. Just a couple quick minutes with Patrick Graham. I didn't want you to hear a whole lot. I just thought that that little chunk from him and that little chunk from Chip Kelly was the important stuff, right? Stuff that stood out to me and just really kind of getting inside their mind a little bit of what they could do moving forward in week 4 going up against the Chicago Bears. There is practice again today. We'll have the opportunity to be out there. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. I have a couple meetings at the radio station, but 12:50 to 1:35, head coach Pete Carroll, he'll be meeting with the media in the indoor facility, and the locker room will be open as well. And then practice will be open around 11:30 for the media to check out, see who's out there, do a little bit of videos and tweeting, but it's only the 15-minute stretching period, so it's not a whole lot there. But that is going on, and then, of course, we'll get an injury report later on, probably about 4 p.m. Pacific time. If you're following me on Twitter, at your boy Q254, I always tweet out the injury reports, and so as soon as I get it, I'll make sure to do that. At Ari Produces as well. He'll do the same. Coming up in segment number 2, keys to victory. What is it going to take for the Raiders to hold it down in Allegiant Stadium on Sunday against the Chicago Bears coming off a big win versus the Dallas Cowboys and, send Chicago back disappointed and the Raiders improved to 2-2. We'll talk about that in segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get to that, though, I do want you to know that this episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. There are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. And trust and believe, we've got plenty of those here in town, including Breeze Daiquiri Bar in the Link Promenade area. It's near the Flamingo. You can't really miss it. It's a great place to be. And I really do like the Link Promenade, that whole area, just kind of walking around. It's almost like a mini Fremont Street, but not quite as wild, right? So it's a lot of fun to kind of hang out in that area. And of course, those daiquiris, they go really good, especially if it's not too hot outside, and the weather right now is just about perfect. But it's a nice spot, personal. Locals go there, tourists go there. It's a good blend of everyone. And like I said, it doesn't get you all caught up in all the, craziness sometimes of Fremont Street. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. I also want to tell you about DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players deliver when it mattered the most. So let's break it down. For the Raiders, I think it's real easy. Trey Tucker, Geno Smith delivered in a big way, right? 3 touchdown passes for Geno Smith, 3 touchdown catches for Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker is a guy in year 3 who has, looked like a guy that can emerge as a really good wide receiver. Geno Smith has 4 touchdowns on the season. Trey Tucker has 4 touchdowns on the season. You see where I'm going with this, right? There's a really good connection going on, something that we talked about during training camp. Geno Smith compared Trey Tucker to Santana Moss and caught my attention. I was like, whoa, hold up there. But now you understand what he saw in Trey Tucker, and he's going to continue to build on him. Chip Kelly actually talked about Trey Tucker on Thursday as well and just said, man, the way that he runs and the way he practices is the way he plays. There's some guys that are fast, that are combine fast, and then there's certain guys that are playing football fast, and that's what Trey Tucker is. And you saw him get behind the defense not once, not twice, but 3 times against the Washington Commanders. So just like when Trey delivers for the Raiders, DoorDash delivers for you on Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday when you order. Stack it up all season. You can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period ends on November 18th. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Always like to get to the keys to victory. Final show before the game. So we're going to go ahead and break it down like this. And look, I'll say off top, and I said it to Lauren Cox on the crossover edition, the Raiders need to win this one. The Raiders desperately need to win this game. They need to stop the bleeding. They have to play with a sense of urgency. I never really say, oh, it's a must win in week 4. And technically it's not a must win. And, 1 in 4 on the season or 1 in 3 on the season is obviously not what you want. You can overcome it, but it's just a really bad look for a team that's trying to find themselves. And I think that this team really desperately needs a win. So again, with that in mind, I'm going to kind of switch up how I would attack the Chicago Bears. And that's going to be the biggest key: attack. Don't just sit back and see how the game evolves. You have to attack. The Bears are banged up in the secondary. They're banged up in the defensive line. I went through the injury report already. They've struggled to stop the run. Play with some tempo. Yeah, it's not the whole game. I'm not talking about Oregon tempo, right? When Chip Kelly was there with Marcus Mariota and they were going 100 miles an hour and running 75, 80 plays a game. Not saying that kind of tempo, but when you have a couple plays of success, go ahead and speed it up a little bit. Pick up the pace a little bit, right? Make them keep the defense on the field. Make them get a little bit gassed, right? There are going to be plenty of Bears fans there. It's about a 50-50 crowd, so take the crowd out of it. Take those Bears fans out of it by getting a little bit of sense of urgency and picking up that tempo. And when you got something that's working, go ahead and hit them. Look, I want them to get the running game established as much as anyone else, including the Raiders, but get Genty the ball any way possible. I don't care how you do it. The run game, the pass game, swing passes, screen passes. I know they don't practice screen passes. We don't see them very often. Whatever you can do to get Genty involved. With him, all he needs is the ball in his hands. We know that he can catch the ball. We know he can run. We know if he's one-on-one outside with a defender coming up, most likely he's going to go around him or go through him, right? I mean, he's got that much ability. So just get him the ball. Get him involved. I don't care. Kirk Morrison said it best, right? 20-5 guy. What does that mean? 20 carries and 5 catches. I don't care how you get it to him. If you can get him that 25 touches, I think good things will happen. But just find ways to get him the ball. I know Chip Kelly has it in his playbook. Just go ahead and open that bad boy up, right? I mean, I even asked him about being a little, not conservative, but trying to be patient and take what the defense gives him as opposed to trying to really open it up based off whatever's going on. And, he kind of gave me an answer. Well, that's every play. We just have to see how they defend him. But, this time, like I said, be aggressive. The Bears secondary is suspect right now. They have been banged up. And then, like I mentioned, man, the defensive line, they haven't been able to stop the run. Lauren Cox said it. You heard it if you listened to the crossover edition. He said, man, if Genty's going to have a breakout game, this will probably be the one. So let it be the one. But you don't have to only rely on the run, and you don't have to start the game with the run. You can ease into the run later on. You can start just throwing the ball around the yard and testing the secondary, testing those corners, see where they're at, right? I just think that a sense of urgency and aggressiveness has to happen for the Raiders. And the offensive line, right? They spent all week hearing how bad they were. I've talked about them. You've talked about them. Everyone's talked about how bad they were, right? We've talked to them in the locker room, right? They're the worst offensive line in football. Like, they've heard it all week long. Play with some nasty. Play with some nasty. It's like getting a rebound in basketball. I was never a football player, right? I was a basketball player. So it's like getting a rebound. You know what that is? That's want to. So if you're on the offensive line and you want to be nasty and you want to blow off the defensive line off the line of scrimmage, you know how you do it? With want to. With nasty. With a little something in your neck is what I like to call it. Well, do that. And I know that there's not anyone really on that offensive line that has that personality outside of JPJ, which will be great to see him back into the mix, and I do believe he'll be in the mix. But look, man, get a little angry, man. Get a little pissed off. Get tired of people talking about you, right? I mean, there's times when I'm feeling some kind of way, when I'm angry, when I'm mad, when someone done ran me hot, and I go out to prove a point, right? I want to show them a little something. So I want to show them a little something extra. I want to prove a point. Now, I'm not saying go out there and get reckless, but have a little nasty in you, right? Have that energy that JPJ brings, that whistle to, the snap to the whistle. Let that go to Colton Miller. Let that go to Jordan Meredith. Let that go to Dylan Parham. Let that go to DJ Glaze. Don't be the nice offensive line. Be the nasty offensive line. Just show some. Again, people have been talking about you all week. You're the worst offensive line in football. Well, show them that you're not. Go out there and show it. That's all you got to do. Defense, got to get back to attacking downhill. Got to get back to attacking downhill. Stop the run, wrap up, right? That's something that they did really well the first 2 weeks. They were only allowing 16.5 points a game. That's fine. I'll take that. If you only allow 16.5 points per game, you're giving yourself a chance to win, right? The Seahawks just improved to 3-1 on the season after their win on Thursday Night Football against the Cardinals, and that's what they're averaging, about 16 points per game. And their defense is playing really well. The Raiders were playing like that. They were doing well defensively. They weren't allowing, a lot of rushing yards. They opened up the floodgates on Sunday. Well, just prove that was an off game, right? Get back to that downhill attacking, not allowing the run game to get cooking. And the Bears' run game has been struggling anyway. I mean, really, both teams come into this one with the run game struggling. Don't let them get off. Don't let Miles Sanders get off. Don't let them all of a sudden start running all over the yard and making you look silly. And wrap up your tackles. Did a really good job of missing tackles until they didn't, right? Patrick Graham said you got to get back to fundamentals. All right, you got back to fundamentals. Show me. Again, just like the offensive line, show me. Make Caleb Williams, make him one-dimensional, make him beat you with his arm. Obviously, you want to get him on skates, get him running around because his footwork, his arm strength, I mean, his arm is incredible, but if the timing is not where it needs to be, he'll make some mistakes. He'll give you an opportunity to. The coverage has got to be sticky. Right, Rome Odunze is a hell of a wide receiver. DJ Moore is a hell of a wide receiver, so it's not going to be easy. So you're looking at Caillou Blue-Kelly, Eric Stokes, Darian Porter, Darnay Holmes, those guys. That's be having stickier coverage. Isaiah Palamo has got to be better. He can't get 15-yard penalties for late hits, even when they're not really late hits. But he's starting to get that reputation, so he's got to be better. Jeremy Chin, it's good to hear that he's back, from that pectoral injury. Full participant in practice on Thursday, so he's got to go out there and play with that reckless abandon. They've got to create some turnovers, win the turnover battle. It was good on Sunday to see Thomas Booker knock the ball away from Marcus Mariota and Caillou Blue-Kelly come up with a fumble recovery. That's great, but that's not enough, right? Fumbles, interceptions, whatever you got to do, you got to win the turnover battle. That defense has got to play nasty. This team has to go out there and play offended, right? Because they offended and they were very offensive to Raider Nation on Sunday against the Commanders. So they need to go out there and play like they have something to prove. Yeah, we were offended by the way that we played. We're going to go out there and show you that was just a one-off game. That's not who we are. That's what they need to do, right? You got to win the turnover battle. And the special teams, as much as we saw special teams all weekend last weekend, not just with the Raiders. The Raiders gave up plenty in special teams, but all the block kicks that you saw on Thursday night, right? The landing zone. That's why Arizona lost. They scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, right? Tied the game up at 20, and then the ensuing kickoff comes short of the landing zone. They're supposed to kick it between the 20 and the 1. They dropped the ball at the 21, which made the ball go out to the 40, and all Seattle had to do was pick up a couple or make a couple nice passes, and they're in field goal range. Boom, game, set, match. Jason Myers walks it off, right? So Daniel Carlson's got to be better on his kickoffs, and the Raiders desperately have to be better on their kick coverage. That was awful showing on Sunday against the Commanders. That can't happen. That's something that has not happened since Tom McMahon's been the special teams coordinator. That, again, I could chalk up to, okay, that's a one-off. That whole game on Sunday against the Commanders, I could say that was a one-off. But the way I could say that and justify it and not feel like I'm lying to you or myself is by them going out and playing a lot better on Sunday. It's going to be a tough game. It is not going to be easy at all. The Bears look like a team that's on the rise, and as I said to Lauren on Thursday, the Raiders feel like a team that could be on the decline as they've lost 2 straight. They've got to stop the bleeding. and it's got to start on Sunday. They need to leave Allegiant Stadium with a 2-2 overall record, and they'll be feeling a lot better in the AFC West, right? I'm expecting the Chargers to win their game against against the Giants and improve to 4-0. Obviously, the Chiefs could easily drop to 1-3. They're playing the Baltimore Ravens. Denver, I think they're going to get a win this week. So the Raiders they're in a good position. They need to get back into the win column. That's how you do it. And the only thing I got for coaching, as I always do, win the toss and defer. Win the toss and defer, and you should be good. But those are my keys to victory. Again, I want to see this team go out and be aggressive. I want that run game to get going, but I just want Ashton Genty to get going in general. Get him the rock. By hook or by crook, get him the rock. Offensive line play with some nasty. Defense get back to attacking downhill, stop the run, wrap up, force Caleb Williams to beat you with his arm and on the run. Cornerbacks be coverage and be sticky in coverage and win the turnover battle. Special teams, be special. Don't be what you were on Sunday against the Commanders. That was everything but special. That's what I got for you. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Coming up in segment number 3 as we close out, we'll hear from you. Calls, texts, and tweets. Closes things out on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about another great sponsor here on the show, and that is Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride. With more IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anyone else, that's as of August of 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Well, Mazda, they bring the same attention to how they craft every single model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every single detail. From the metallic accents to the Napa leather upholstery, they've got it all. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to great controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every single crossover SUV, you could drive with confidence through almost any season. It's a really good vehicle for tailgating, too, if you understand what I'm saying. Like all the players, the Mazda sweats every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Here we go, Raider Nation, segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts are off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Let's start things off with a call from JD909. He's calling with the ultimate frustration in his voice and feels like he's just about over it. Here he is, JD909.
Yo, what's up, Q? This is JD909. Man, think I'm just over Pete. Think I'm just over this. I know it's been only 3 games, but I feel like he's just doing everything just wrong, especially the whole line. Like not having JPJ start center. It's like, come on, man. Like, are you kidding me? Like, then he goes to say, like, oh, Meredith was battling him and training camp and he looked way better. But it's like, training camp, players don't even go to their fullest, like, during the game. It's like, man, I just don't understand what Pete's doing, man. Just feel like he's just too old. Especially, like how long, honestly, do we have Pete? Like 2-3 years tops? And then what? Now we're back to searching for another head coach? It's like, man, I just feel like this hire was the wrong hire, honestly. Well, that's just my take. But whatever. I'm just looking optimistic for this weekend. Hopefully, the O-line can put it together. Hopefully, the defense can put it together this week, man. Because last week, that was a joke. I just don't want to see Caleb just put up some numbers, man, on us. I just hope he doesn't. Hopefully our defense comes through. Well, thanks for all you do, Q. I'm out. Peace.
JD, brother, woosah, my man. Woosah. It's going to be okay. It's only 3 games. You're going to feel totally different if on Sunday the Raiders go out there and handle their business and leave Allegiant Stadium 2-2. Your narrative, your conversation, your call will be totally different. You'll be back. You'll be right back on board. Don't do that to yourself. It's only 3 games, and they're only at 1-2, which, yeah, it's not the record you want, but it's not bad when the rest of the division's sitting there at 1-2 as well. Right, the only team that is actually winning in the division are the Chargers, who are 3-0. So you'll be all right. And I know Pete Carroll's not 5-6 year plan, but the goal is for him to build the team the right way, get the culture where it needs to be, set this team up for success, get them back into the winning side of things, and then pass the sticks on to someone else, right? And who knows who that's going to be? It could be someone in house. It could be someone that's outside the building. But the Raiders become that much more attractive because they're a winning product. Yeah, he's not, like I said, he's not the dude that's going to be there along the sideline for long term, but he can get the team where they need to be. There's definitely a proof of concept. So, we spent all off season and all summer talking about Pete Carroll and the difference maker that he could be for the Raiders. Don't bail after 3 games. Don't do that. You don't want that's more harm to yourself because you'll be back. So I understand the frustration. Watch the game on Sunday and let's see what we're talking about come Monday. Thanks so much for the call, though. I do appreciate you. I got a tweet here at Hate Bogey, so I'm assuming that's a golfer. Maybe you need some 5-hour energy. He said, "Hey, wanted to reach out with a statement for your Locked On Raiders podcast. One of the reasons I believe the Raiders are weak on the kickoffs is because Daniel Carlson kicks the ball so low, like a line drive, giving the returner an opportunity to catch the ball on the run. This doesn't allow our kicking team to have enough time to get down the field. Other teams tend to have more lofty kickoffs. Thanks." That's Mark from South Carolina at Hate Bogies on Twitter. And yeah, there's something to that. Ideally, what you do is you're going to drop the ball in between the 20 and the 1. You're going to let it hit the ground and roll and make the receiving team make a play. Pick up the ball. They could fumble it, pick up the ball, and then try to return it. And by that time, that's when your kickoff coverage team is down there. If you kick it too high, then you can give your defense an opportunity to get down there, but then you run the risk of possibly kicking it into the end zone, and then they just fair catching it, or take a knee, and then all of a sudden they're at the 35. So ideally, you want to have it in between the 20 and the 1. You really want it to bounce. I know it's easier said than done, and we saw the Arizona Cardinals mess it up completely. They whiffed on it badly on Thursday when they dropped it on the 21, which that's not the landing zone. It's between the 20 and the goal line. You got to drop it in there and make the returning team make a decision. But thanks so much for the tweet. I definitely appreciate that. Up next, got a call from Raider Nate in the 808. We know where that's at, right? It's my favorite place on earth, Hawaii. He's calling to talk about the big elephant in the room, the offensive line, and then brings the GOAT, Tom Brady, into the convo. So we got the elephant in the room and the GOAT at the same time. Here's Raider Nate.
Aloha, Q. It's Raider Nate in the 808. Haven't called in for a while. I wanted to call in today, though, because I'm just listening, and I'm hearing, and I'm watching the horrendous play of the offensive line, and every outlet that you listen to is talking about it. And I haven't heard anyone talking about Tom Brady regarding this. I can't imagine, as an owner and as a former cornerback with 7 rings, watching the offensive line play has got to be driving him absolutely furious. And I just wonder, do you have any insights into what is going on up there in the ownership box? I know Tom's got MD's ear pretty good. I just feel like he would be stepping in at some point. Does he have room to step in? Is there, room for his voice? I don't know. Just another thought, another angle on this that I haven't heard. But I'm really curious if I was to talk with TB, what he would be saying. So if you have any insights on this, I'd appreciate it. Love your show. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks to Ari. And let's go Raiders.
Nate Dogg, thanks for the call. Appreciate that, man. And look, I'm sure Brady does not like what he's saying. Right? I'm sure of it. I know his voice carries a lot of weight in the organization, right? And I've only talked to him once, and that was in the elevator, and I didn't even realize he was in there at first. My bad. I was talking to my homeboy, and then I realized, oh, hey, by the way, the guy standing right in front of me, that'd be Tom Brady. So by the time that I got a chance to say a word and he said a word back, he was getting off the elevator. So like I said, I do know his name and his what he brings to the table carries a lot in the building, carries a lot of weight. Chip Kelly's talked about it. Patrick Graham's talked about him, right? Pete Carroll's talked about him. He's definitely, he's got the ear of everyone in that building. And when he's there, everyone's listening. So he's not there all the time. A lot of the work he does moves in silence, but he's around, and I'm sure that he's saying, hey, that offensive line has got to be better. The offensive line cannot be what it is moving forward. So they're going to have to find a way to fix it. There's no doubt. And they know that, right? They don't need Tom Brady. Look, if we all could identify that, They don't need Tom Brady to say, hey, the offensive line ain't where it needs to be. But thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you, and aloha and mahalo, and hopefully you're having a good time in Hawaii, my favorite place on earth. Got a text here from Renee. Hey, Q, my name is Renee. It's my first time texting. I want to get your opinion on this. The Texans released C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Would it be a good idea to sign him to have more depth for the safety position? Pete's always talking about competition. This could also be competition between Johnson, Chin, and Palomar. Thank you for all that you do. That's from Renee. Thanks so much. And I did think about that, but then I talked to my buddy John McClain, who covers the Houston Texans, and he was like, yeah, that guy, his issues are not, physical. His issues are between the ears. Right, he's one of those guys that, he was productive. He was very productive in Philadelphia. He's got 18 career interceptions. 12 of them came in 2 years in Philly, right? So, and he's been in the league since 2019. So, I don't think that that's the guy that the Raiders want. Look, the thing about it is they'll bring in veterans, but they want to bring in veterans that fit with what they're trying to do. You don't want to bring in too many veterans that, are kind of stuck in their own ways and may not be fitting with the culture that Pete's trying to build. That's why he likes young guys, because you can mold them into what you're looking for, as opposed to the guys. And this goes with any job. How many times you've been at a job and people are like, oh, this is just how we do things. Oh, this is how it is. This is how we've always done it, right? Like, everyone says it, but who actually says it? I always wonder that. Even when I showed up at the radio station for the first time in 2021, someone told me, oh, hey, this is how we've always done it. I said, who said that? I said, yeah, probably the guy that doesn't work here anymore, right? I mean, that's what it is, but that's just kind of what everyone does. So that's why every veteran that's out there that may be a good player may not be a good fit for this team. So that's definitely something to think about. So thanks so much for that text. I appreciate you. Just got time for a couple more. This call comes from Raider Zamora from the 801. He's calling to talk about the game on Sunday. Doesn't think he's going to get it in Utah, and has a few reasons why this game means so much to him. Here he is, Raider Zamora from the 801.
Hey, what up, Q? This is Raider Z, or Raider Zamora from the 801. Now, it's been a while since I've called in. Last time I called in, it was cool to hear that you're friends with another Zamora family. I personally haven't met any other Zamora, so yeah, I thought that was cool. But anyways, I'm just calling in about the game on Sunday. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch it here in Salt Lake City, Utah, because they don't ever show the game here unless they're playing the Donkeys or something, which I think is interesting because they always show the Raiders post-game show here on local TV, though. So make that make sense. But it'll be cool to see who wins this game, because for my mom's side of the family, they're from Forest Park, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. So, of course, they're Bears fans. We're going to see who gets to have bragging rights at the end of the week. But also, I just got done listening to the crossover edition, and I heard you guys bring up the Bears left tackle Braxton Jones and how he's going to have his hands full with Max Crosby and the rest of the Raiders defensive line. Now, it's crazy because I actually grew up with Braxton, and we're both part of the centennial class of Murray High School, actually. Going to school with him, I could tell that he was a funny guy, and we were actually on the same junior jazz team freshman year, just playing basketball. But I always knew that he was driven and he was motivated to be a good athlete in basketball and especially football. And I'm glad football took off for him. And I think he's only the second person ever from my high school to make it to the NFL. So that's cool. And everybody I went to school with pretty much follows him and his story, and we're always rooting for him here. And I do want him to have nothing but success in his career, but at the end of the day, I'm a Raiders fan through and through. And I truly wish the best for him, except for this Sunday. All right, anyways, Q, I appreciate everything you do. Raider Nation appreciates everything you do. Even though I don't always call, best believe I'm always listening. And like you end every podcast, just win, baby.
Raider Z, Raider Zamora, thanks for the call. Appreciate that. And it's funny, man. I know a lot of Zamoras. I thought there was a ton of Zamoras out there, and you got some family out there you didn't even know about. So that's really cool. But yeah, man, the Zamoras I definitely grew up with, man. That was my family. They're always going to be my family. So yeah, shout out to them for sure. But yeah, you got to find a way to check out the game. I know in Utah that there's some affiliate stations of the Raiders. I do hits on them all the time where they call me up and want to do a 15-minute little radio, catch up on everything. And I know that they cover the Raiders, so it might not be TV, but you can listen to them on the radio. Jason Horowitz and Kirk Morrison do a fantastic job. Definitely encourage that. And I know that the game is going to be on ESPN radio as well. My guy, Chris Carlin, He's going to be on the call. Courtney Cronin, she's going to be on the sidelines. So there's multiple ways to check out the game for sure coming up, and I hope that you do. And having family in the Chicago area, knowing that they're going to be going for the Bears, get a little bit of, bragging rights, and then obviously knowing the left tackle from the Bears, you went to school with them. Yeah, that's awesome. And hey, you should want them to be successful. Just not this week, right? Let them have success, the following week. That's like Quentin Johnston for me. I covered him when he went to Temple High School in Temple, Texas. I was the sideline reporter for the Temple Wildcats, and so me and him have a really good relationship, and I always want him to do well. I just don't want him to do well against the Raiders. Somehow, some way, he seems to do well against the Raiders, and he did well on Monday Night Football with that 60-yard touchdown catch and run right before halftime. So, yeah, Q to Q. That's my guy. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But, yeah, we root for those guys to have success, just not against the silver and black. Thanks so much for the call. I appreciate you. We'll close this out with another tweet from @_ Angie Balderas. Many of us had bad bosses of people in power who did not like us and do everything to kill our shine at work. My advice to JPJ, make it so obvious. Ball out. That is, if they let him get on the field, that it's undeniable. As far as Pete's son, he is a 40-year-old man. Time to get your own job. He's going to inherit his dad's money anyway. That's from Angie B. Sometimes that's what you have to do. That's great. That's a great tweet and great advice. Don't let them deny you, right? I remember Kim Mulkey when she was the head coach of the Baylor Lady Bears there in Waco, and of course they've won multiple championships. And there was a player, Nina Davis, who was undersized. She was a good player, but not, she wasn't elite. She wasn't one of those that, oh man, she's going to go and have a great career in the W. But she said once she got her on the court, she wouldn't let her come off the court. She was working so hard and she played so well that they couldn't take her off the court. She literally went in as a substitute, and then 4 years later, she was still a starter and an all-time great at Baylor. Like, you just couldn't take her off the court. Sometimes that's how it be, and that's what Angie B is talking about. Hey, man, JPJ, keep your head up. Don't pout about, whatever position you're playing, or if you're not getting playing time. The minute that they let you get on the field, make sure that they don't let you come off the field. That's fantastic advice, right? I said the same thing about radio. Once they let me on the radio, make sure that they don't let me get off the radio. Right? The minute that they give me that opportunity, realize, oh, man, this dude, we can't do it without him, right? And obviously they can, but you're right. That's great advice, Angie. That's a great way to close out the show. Thanks so much for that tweet. Do appreciate that. I do believe we're going to have the Raider Squad show today with Chantel Chan, Lincoln Kennedy, and myself. We were supposed to have it on Thursday, but Lincoln lost his voice. So that doesn't really work well when we're talking, when you lose your voice. And that happens. We all know. I've been there, done that as well. So I'm hoping that he's going to be good to go today. And if so, we'll do it around 7:30 in the morning like we always do, depending on what time you're listening to this. So until Monday, Raider Nation, hopefully we're handing out game balls and the Raiders are 2-2. But either way, we'll be back. If you're going to the game, meet me at the Torch. I know there's some events going on in and around town, so hopefully we'll be able to catch up either there, but definitely be at the Torch. I'll do the pregame show, so I'll start at 10 a.m., go to about 11:15, pass the sticks on to JT the Brick and Eric Allen, the Hall of Famer, as they'll lead you right up to kickoff. So I'd love to shake your hand. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to talk some Raider football before the game, and hopefully the Raiders get that dub. And like I said, we're handing out game balls on Monday. So until then, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.